Hello and welcome back to our 10-year anniversary of UDW. We're on our 9th match out of 10, which means we're celebrating our 9th season. And I thought, maybe a way we could celebrate some of these later seasons is looking at some of the new things that were added in to UDW. And in this case, we're looking at, if you couldn't tell from the arena, the Lethal Lottery, which is a tournament we've done 3 times now, although at the time I recorded this, we'd only done twice. And if you don't know, it's an idea borrowed from real wrestling promotions. I'm pretty sure TNA did it, and I think WCW might have done something similar once. I don't really remember. I know at least TNA, I remember doing it. I think that the logo I use is borrowed from the TNA version. But anyway, the idea is that you have a bunch of tag teams who are comprised randomly. And of course, in real life, when you do a tournament like this, the bookers make the teams in order to create drama stuff. But I did a legitimate random one where I used a random number generator to generate numbers off of my roster that corresponded to the wrestlers, and all the teams, all 3 years I've done, have been legitimately randomly selected. And I thought, to celebrate this fun tournament, where the winner gets a tag team title shot at the season finale coast to coast, let's just have the 2 teams who at the time that I recorded this had won the tournament. Of course, now I've done the 3rd tournament where Gohan and Bane won, which was quite the fun little tournament events. I'll talk about that in a moment. But here we had the first winners who just came out, which were the very underdog, kind of oddball team of Jack Frost and Arthur Everest versus the current champions, who actually make a lot of sense and seems like a tag team I would have made intentionally, Black Panther and Batman, who, despite being from different comic promotions, have kind of a lot in common. Similar kind of looks. They both have the little ears, the bat ears and the cat ears, respectively. And just they look like a tag team. Like, look at them right there. They look good together. Of course, at the time I'm recording this, I just finished recording Coast to Coast 10. So I know that they retained the titles, the first people to retain against Lethal Lottery winners. And also, they held the titles almost all of the 10th season. They won the titles at Coast to Coast 9. Dropped them briefly midway through the year, but then won them back and are still the champions now heading into season 11. So, good for them. But Arthur and Jack are like a really oddly good team. They were not my pick to win the first tournament. And then they just kind of clicked in a way that I don't think makes sense. I have no explanation for why they work as well together as they do. Arthur and Jack both kind of work more as managers in UDW than as wrestlers. Jack's had a decent wrestling career, and I think he's had the All-Star Championship at least once. But he mostly manages Elsa, and then Arthur is the tag team partner of the Tick, but Arthur and the Tick have never won the tag titles at the time of this recording. And Arthur mostly serves as the Tick's manager, because the Tick has been world champion a couple times. They're the Universal Champion. So, I don't know why they click together as well as they do, but they do, and I think that's great. As for this year's winners, Gohan and Bane, that was, I don't know if it, I assume people noticed, but that has like a weird parallel to our main event, because the Universal Championship match at Coast to Coast was Gohan's dad, Goku, and Bane's current tag team partner, Jason, facing off against each other. So at the same time those two were facing the main event, their respective partners, although Goku doesn't team with Gohan that much anymore, but their respective partners are themselves teaming up to challenge for the tag titles, which I just thought was kind of like a fun coincidence, because, like I said, the roster, or the lineup for the Lethal Lottery is completely random, legitimately. So seeing it turn around like that and get that weird parallel was fun. Of course, Gohan and Bane didn't win the titles, but that's okay. They don't really need it, and it would have probably complicated things for them. Maybe Bane and Jason can go after the tag titles in Season 11. We'll see. I don't really know exactly where a lot of things are going to go right off the bat with Season 11. And I'll probably talk more about what Season 11 will look like in the next video, which should be tomorrow's video, which will be the end of this little celebration, and we'll kick off a break from UDW. I'm going to be taking the first break in the 10-year history of UDW, because I had not ever I don't think I've ever missed a day uploading a match in that 10 years, which is weird because there's lots of times where I could have and maybe should have, but I don't think I ever actually did. But here we have the mismatch tag team with the tag team that makes a little too much sense for the Lethal Lottery, and I think that that's kind of a fun dynamic. Our first two big Lethal Lottery winners, first two of hopefully many. I really like the Lethal Lottery tournament. You know, the first year we did it, it was kind of an experiment, but then I did a community poll and asked people what they thought, and they agreed that it should be like an annual tradition. So now every year we do the Lethal Lottery with the men's roster. Of course, the women's roster usually gets the Queen of the Ring tournament. I didn't do one this year because I just kind of missed the point where I normally would do it, and then by the time I thought about it, there wasn't really enough time to put it together. I just kind of forgot. But I would like to do more tournaments going forward. I'd really like to do, on top of the Queen of the Ring and the Lethal Lottery, I'd like to do a Mixed Match Challenge now that mixed tag teams are going to be coming back in 2K. Or they have come back, but they'll be back as an option for me for the first time in 2K23. It'll be the first game I've played with mixed tag teams in a long time. So that could be fun. Probably that would also be random, like the Lethal Lottery, but of course with each tag team being a mixed tag team instead of just the men's roster. So that could be fun. I don't think there'd be any prize for that, because it's not like I'm pretty sure you still can't do like a mixed tag team championship or anything. So probably no titles would be on the line, but you know, there's clout in winning. And I'm sure whichever team won would get some kind of boost out of it. And also it's just fun to see. Assuming that mixed tag matches work better in the current games than what we saw earlier, because we had a mixed tag match in our 10-year anniversary here, and those matches in the older games, 9 times out of 10 ended in a DQ because the AI just didn't know how to handle it. So hopefully that won't be a problem, because I'd like to do more mixed tag stuff. I don't know if we'll get a lot of the old mixed tag teams back, teams like Team Rocket or Android 17 and 18, especially now that Android 18 is kind of doing her own thing. She's in that tag team with Kim Possible now. That's going to probably have a pretty big impact on that division in Season 11 now that they're officially a team. But we'll see. Poor Arthur here, getting a little beat up by the more established superheroes. I don't know how many people in my audience know The Tick. It was a pretty popular cartoon when I was a kid, but I assume a lot of people who watch these videos are probably a little bit younger than me. I don't know that for sure, of course, but I love The Tick. And then they had a pretty decent like live action version of The Tick on Amazon just a couple years ago, pretty recently. I did not expect much from it going in, and it is like a little more serious than I necessarily would want a Tick project to be, because like the cartoon is very silly, the first live action series is very silly, and of course the comic is hilarious, but they did a bit more of the like gritty modern superhero take with The Tick, and it still had comedy, but not quite as goofball as normal. It was a lot closer to like a Marvel or DC project in terms of tone, but I still liked it. I liked it better than I thought I would. Kind of sad that it ended up getting canceled, I think, before really running its full story, but I liked what we got of it. And that show coming out, I think, was part of what inspired me to do The Tick and Arthur in UDW, because, like I said, the cartoon's been off the air for a long time, and I don't think I don't know how many people remember it. I don't even know how many people saw the Amazon show, but sometimes I just include characters because I like them, even if other people don't know them as well. Just because I like them, that's good enough for me. And so, because of that, we got Arthur here with Jack Frost in a team that is not doing so well here. It seems like Bat-Panther has been kind of dominating. You know, partly because of what I was saying earlier about them looking like a tag team together. Batman and Black Panther got a tag team name, they got music, and they come out together. But Arthur and Jack never did. They always came out separately. I never tried combining their themes or giving them a tag team entrance, and the second they lost the titles, they stopped teaming up. We've got a fun reunion here between the two of them. Jack kind of came out of nowhere there with that cutter, but Batman broke it up. Oh, Black Panther's looking worse for wear here. He's having a harder time getting up than I expected him to. Looks like, oh, he's going for the rolling butterfly suplexes here. There you go. Not bad. Jack's bringing it back around here. I have to assume Jack was kind of the backbone of the team, but... Oh, and hey, there we go. That does it. So, yeah, like I was saying before, a weirdly effective tag team. I don't know why Arthur and Jack work as well together as they do, but they really do. They took a pretty powerful, different oddball tag team to break them up, right? I think when they lost the titles, it was to Captain Planet and Popeye, right? And that's if I'm remembering correctly, that's how that went. I could be wrong. It could have been a different team because no, I think Captain Planet and Popeye took the titles off of Batman and Superman. So for me, it was Batman and Superman that took off of them, which is still, you know, a pretty prolific team. But hey, they beat Batman and Black Panther here, so good for them. Just upset win after upset win to the point that you can't really call them upsets anymore. So thanks for watching, and come back tomorrow. We'll have our last video, and I'll talk a little bit more about the future of UDW at the end of that video, and I'll see you then. Bye.